Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. We are once again joining our crew here on the surface of the moon. We have loaded up our old lander, because I figured things probably getting choked with moon dust or something. It's been here quite a while. We have our old pilot, Lee Bowman. He's taking with him Boris and Nina, the two systems engineers, leaving two scientists to crew the lab module, and pilot Alice up here in the cupola. They will return later in this. They're probably going to need a resupply, and we will just top off the tanks over there from said resupply mission to get them home. But there's a lot of logistics involved here. It's going to involve another Artemis and a means to get them home because a ship got randomly deleted. Anyway, we are just waiting for our current Artemis to make its, or to get closer, I should say, in its path, so that we can launch to intercept. Looks like we're going to have to head west a bit and then north-northwest on that kind of heading if we are to make a rendezvous. That should be good. We'll probably come out a little ahead of it, which is fine because we will probably end up in a lower orbit. So our fuel tanks are unlocked. We're down to 3 engines, which still give us 3.86 thrust-to-weight ratio. I wonder actually if we shut down... Nope. I want to shut down engines. Actually, let's just shut down the center and go with 2 engines. I think that's probably... There we go, shut down. Yeah, 2.57. That's not bad. Alright, so SAS activated. Engine should be ullaged, so goodbye, fair moon. We will, well, make sure this tank is unlocked. Yes, so we have RCS control. Let's turn that on. And ignition! Okay, maybe we... Oh, let's pull up the ladder first before we fold in the gear. Alright, we need to go west. 270 degree. Why do we have a node? Goodbye, node. Alright, and this is still obviously our descent stage. We will have to ditch that, but we're kind of taking it as far as we can. Why not use the extra bump? And it will dispose of itself, which would be greatly needed. Let's check the map. Yeah, it's going to be a while before we get westerly enough to start making our turn. But we'll just get a nice jump on it. Yeah, really should fire up the center engine. Is it firing? Very stable, yep. 23 kilonewtons. We're just not getting an animation for it. That's always a little weird. Start to angle in just a bit here, because why not? We are just not moving very fast. That's okay. It says our thrust-to-weight ratio here on the moon is 4.1. So we should be seeing some fairly decent acceleration. I just don't think that we are. So actually, let's toggle them off. Toggle them back on again. Nope, still only 2 engines. Very interesting. It does look like we're moving quite a bit faster now. And our relative inclination with our target is decreasing. About 40-something odd degrees. Very interesting there. Alright, when our apoapsis actually gets far enough along to cross paths, we will start to make some more angling adjustments. Well, it seems to be working quite a bit better. Oh, we've hit flame out on our ascent stage. Yeah. Alright. Staging it off in 3, 2, 1. Oh, come on. That was obviously what I wanted to do. There we go. Ignition on the ascent stage. And we should probably unlock the rest of your fuel. Go. These are in reserve for docking maneuvers, although I think we will honestly go ahead and unlock 2 of them now. Actually, you know what? We won't unlock them. We will pump them into here. to avoid balancing issues. And we'll also start to adjust north. Why did you only take fuel from one of them? That was not very nice. Ah, dang it. Go. Check the map. Where are we at? Alright, we'll actually just ride with this heading. We'll use another ignition to turn once we get our apoapsis in line with that descending node. That'll help us just plot it out a little easier. Oh, he's coming up fast. Looks like we are not going to be there in time. Dang it. And shutting down. Add maneuver. This is where it counts. Alright, that'll at least get us in line. That's 1,400 meters per second. Says the burn will take 11 minutes. And it is in 2 minutes before we have to make said burn. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and start now. Alright. Ullage. Ignition. And we're off. So this would be the first and longest burn, of course, in the attempt to make orbit. We certainly have the Delta V figures for it, but it's going to be a little tighter than I guess I would like. This is, as it turns out, not a very good single stage to lunar orbit kind of ascent vehicle. We really did need that oomph from the descent stage to put this in a high enough orbit, especially one as inclined as the Artemis 4L is in, to perform rendezvous. And we would actually end up falling low enough to the surface to make me a little anxious, so we will be doing some angly up type stuff here eventually, as we're not quite getting to orbit as fast as I would like. But I guess this lander is particularly well suited for its job so far. I think it does need some tweaking. Maybe if we could get something that is truly single stage, so we don't have to decouple or ditch anything coming down or going back up, would be the ideal that we could shoot for. And yeah, now you can see very clearly how much angle pitch up we needed to avoid making some very close acquaintances with some terrain features. But finally we can start to angle in earnest. I am just kind of ignoring our node. I am paying attention to the relative inclination figure up there in our MechJeb window. That really tells me most of what I need to know as far as how far out I can push periapsis. But there we do in fact have an orbit. So we will shut down the engine and start to plot out a node for which to kind of get in a similar orbit with the Artemis. Of course, it's very far ahead of us. And really the best way to save fuel is to just go into a lower orbit, and then we'll have to do several orbital passes, but it'll swing around. We'll catch up to it, or it'll catch up to us, whichever way you want to think about it. But they've got about 20 days of life support here in this landing module, or in this ascent stage, so it's not a big deal having to wait. The real tragedy is that as I was recording this, I actually filled up my hard drive, or rather the hard drive I use for saving footage. So, and well, I didn't really catch on to that fact until after I had completed docking. So, unfortunately, it ends here in just a couple of seconds, but you won't get to see the docking because I wasn't really going to redo all of this for it. But I'm terribly, terribly, terribly sorry. I've reallocated some things and deleted some old stuff to make room for new footage to avoid having this ever happen again. But I do want to reassure you that the crew made it safely to docking with the Artemis 4. They moved everything over like themselves, really, and the last bit of fuel from the ascent module into the Artemis, and are now waiting in a parking orbit. Yeah, and that's about it. So that's going to do it for this episode, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it, and I will see all of you in the next one. So until then, see you later.